And a very good afternoon, everybody. Happy Tuesday and Happy New Year. My name is Sandy Elson, and on behalf of the travel professional community and travelprofessionalnews.com, I want to welcome all of you and thank you for joining us today. Today's webinar is being hosted by Travel Planners International. As always, we really appreciate the support we get from TPI. TPI is a sales, marketing, and support agency for new and experienced travel professionals. Savvy, entrepreneurial-minded agents and agency owners partner with TPI for their forward-thinking, profit-generating marketing programs, their savvy social media support, their small business training events and agent community building meetings, and time-saving back-office technology. Truth be told, they describe themselves as a group of fun, good-looking peeps in Maitland, Florida, who spend their days and nights dreaming and scheming of ways they can make their family of passionate, sleep-deprived rock star agents so happy and profitable that they go to bed at night, usually pretty darn late, yelling, "Nailed it!" Our speaker for today is one of my favorites, the wonderful Jenn Lee, Vice President of Sales and Marketing. Celebrating just 2 short years in the travel industry, Jenn Lee isn't shy about her obsession for guiding and leading today's entrepreneurial-minded travel advisor community. According to Lee, the travel industry is on the upswing, and this is the moment to remind the world that travel advisors aren't just booking travel and boosting their bank accounts, they're building a business. Back in her business consulting days, she and her clients landed spots on Fox Business, Good Morning America, and Shark Tank, as well as numerous national publications like Success Magazine and Entrepreneur. However, what keeps Lee going isn't gaining accolades or being featured on TV. It's about meeting with passionate, hustling, and driven entrepreneurs in the making who just plain get it. Well, that and her bulletproof coffee. Jen's topic today is profitability, go beyond breaking even. Before we get started, a reminder that you are all muted, but we welcome your questions. You can type in your questions in the question area you see on the right-hand panel of your screen. At the end of the webinar, we will get to as many questions as we can. Also at the end of the webinar, Jenn has 2 amazing prizes for 2 lucky prize winners who have really been paying attention. I'll tell you more about the prizes a little later, but as a hint, you're going to want to take notes. So let's get started. Welcome, Jenn.
Hey, Sandy. Hey, rock stars. How are y'all doing out there? I just realized that is a long intro. I have got to shorten that for you next time, Sandy.
We can't say enough good things about you, Jenn.
Oh, stop the madness. But it's true. It's so true. Anyways, I look forward to these webinars. It's actually one of my most favorite things to do throughout the year, mostly because I know you, the listener, is tuning in. You're tuning in because there was something about that title that resonated with you, that you said, you know what, I do want to be profitable this year. And what does going beyond breaking even really mean? So to me, I got really excited about this particular topic last year when I had the opportunity to not host, but conduct a breakout session for the Travel Age West Future Leaders in Travel Symposium, when I asked the question, how many of y'all are going to be profitable this year or in the next 2 years? And only a handful of hands went in the air. And I said, what? What do you mean? And it occurred to me that it wasn't that because they weren't savvy business owners, it was mostly because they weren't sure how to calculate profitability. They were focusing a lot on making the sales and building their brand and doing the marketing. And let me tell you, these are some really smart travel advisors that went to this symposium, but the profitability component was missing. And so I was like, holy guacamole, we got to talk about that right in the beginning of 2019. So you know me, Sandy, I like to just like give everybody all the information. As Sandy said, please have a piece of paper and a pencil because you're going to do some calculations while we're talking. And feel free to type in any question. Sandy knows she can interrupt me at any time and we'll answer those applicable questions. So is everyone ready to get started? Say yes. They can't talk to me. I hate that about this, Sandy. You know, right?
I know, but we know they're all ready, and I'm ready too.
Exactly. You know, what we're going to review today are really kind of the 3 things that I have identified over the years. It doesn't really matter what industry you're in, but if we were to kind of sit down and say, what are the 3 main ways to make sure that you're profitable? I would say these 3 things need to kind of come together. Number 1, you need to really understand how much you need to sell. Like, what is that sales goal? How much do you need to sell? And we have to work backwards and forwards from that. So we're going to walk through that today for you so that you can actually know exactly how much sales you need to sell to be profitable this year. The second thing that needs to happen is you need to learn how to smartly scale your business. And I'm going to share some ideas that I have learned from our rockstar travel advisors that are part of TPI, and even those that aren't part of TPI, some of the things I'm seeing other people doing, which is helping them scale their business. You know, you can't always just do it by yourself. It'll be very hard to get into those high 6-figure numbers if you're doing this by yourself. Very small percentage do that. So that's number 2. And then number 3 is really knowing your numbers. Awareness is key in this. It's not enough to write this down at the beginning of the year like a New Year's resolution and then take a look at it in August and realize, whoop, I'm nowhere near my goals. You know, you've got to know your numbers. So to be profitable, 3 things need to kind of come together. You've got to understand how much you need to sell, smartly scale your business, and know your numbers. A big part of this, you guys, starts with a bit of a mindset as well as a maneuver shift that you need to make. So often when I'm talking to travel advisors out there, they are tracking how much money they are making in their bank account. Or they're saying, yes, I'm almost to making this full time, you know, my full-time job. Or they may be saying things like, yeah, I mean, I'm able to pay for that seminar at sea or that FAM or go on that conference. Or, you know what, no, I'm not able to pay for that. I don't have enough money in my bank account. The word I keep hearing is so many people are focusing on building their bank account. And I really want you focusing on building a business. See, a big difference between that is not just money, quite frankly, but when you build a business, you're thinking about sustainability of your business, not sustainability of your bank account, right? You're thinking about traceability. Can I trace every action that I'm taking and be able to say, yes, that's a solid return on investment? When you're building a bank account, you can't really do that. You have to be thinking about building a business. And then thirdly, you've got to be kind of replaceable, right? Or even sellable. If you were going to go around and sell your business one day, you know, what are the assets that you would show? What would that P&L statement look like? Would somebody, an investor, look at your QuickBooks profit and loss statement? And if you don't know what that is, Google that later. That tells me something. But if you don't know what that profit and loss statement is and you're really not paying attention to your expenses, how do you know how profitable you are in your business? And I want everyone to be able to stand tall and stand proud, no matter what that number is, to be able to say, yep, I have a rock solid business. It is profitable. So we got to get to know our numbers. So instead of saying you're building a bank account, your mindset needs to be about, I am building a business. So the first thing that we have to do is we really need to understand how much we need to sell. So I've come up with Jenn's super simple profitability formula. I was trying to make it an alliteration, Sandy, but I couldn't come up with an S for profitability. So Jenn's super simple profitability formula. Now, at the end of this, you guys will get my email address, and if you want me to send this in a worksheet style, I am happy to do so. You'll just need to email me, and I'll send that right over to you. But this is where I want you to start kind of calculating in your head the answers to these questions. All right, so let's go. First question that you need to answer is, how much money do I want to deposit into my personal bank account by the end of 2019? Now, don't confuse this number with your sales goal. This is really how much you want to pay yourself. It's almost kind of like your net. This is really about adding money to your personal bank account. So think about yourself as a business. How much do you want to stroke a check to yourself every Friday? So if you're going to say, I'm going to pay myself every Friday or every other Friday, how much do I want to be able to stroke that check for every other Friday? How much do I want to pay myself? Don't pay yourself more. Don't do a bonus right now. Ask yourself, boy, this would be great. I would be satisfied in my business for 2019. And I only want you to think about 2019. I would be super satisfied in my business for 2019 if every other week I was able to write a paycheck for, give us that number. That's my sound effect. Did you hear that, Sandy? How much? Boom. How much?
That was a big number too.
Yeah. So how much will that be? So be thinking about that. If you don't know the answer to all of these while we're going through this, that's okay. This will give you an opportunity to really start asking yourself, what is that number? Because again, I find a lot of people, Sandy, look at that whatever in their business bank account, and then they pay their, they go get their hair done from out of there, or they pay for a lunch and they write it off as an expense. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. But, you really want to be able to just transfer money every single week into your own personal account. All right. So that's number one. Number two, what set expenses do I have? Now, these are expenses that across the board for the whole year, this is how much it's going to be. So I always think about how much is, if you're working from home, what's my internet bill, my cable bill, because you can write that off. What's my cell phone bill? Do I rent a space? How much is that? How about association memberships? If you're part of ASTA, that's $199 per year. If you're part of a host agency, where I sure hope lots of you are part of host agencies, because we're all here. The host agency community is here to support you. Of course, we think TPI is the best, of course, but others are good too. Well, how much are your host agency fees? Do you pay for your website, chamber membership, business licenses, E&O, your local licenses that you might need, your state, your local, insurance? Do you have a bookkeeper? What are some of the set expenses that you already have that you know of? I want you to list all of those out and tally that up for the year. Whatever that represents for the year, tally that up and put that down. I'm going to give you a second to kind of think of some right off the top of your head. All right. And I'm going to have an example at the end of this so that we can kind of walk through it together. All right. The next line, what are my other miscellaneous expenses? Now, this is where you can get into lots of trouble when you don't track these miscellaneous expenses. Example, printer ink, right? How much printer ink? That's expensive stuff. Do you know that, Sandy? Do you have your own printer at home?
I do, and it is so expensive.
I'm going to tell you, we are all in the wrong business. We need to be in the razor blade and printer ink business. I'm just telling you. Printer ink. How about paper? Suitcases. Did you have to buy new suitcases? Just other miscellaneous expenses. Travel documents. Do you make really cool things for your clients? Thank you cards. Lunches with clients. Networking outings. What are some of those miscellaneous expenses that you utilize your business account to purchase? Rightfully so, because you should be able to write off almost anything. So think about that. This is where I got myself in trouble when I first started my business many, many moons ago when I was a business consultant. I didn't have a Jenn Lee in my life that kind of guided me along the way. I kind of learned a lot of this the hard way. And sure enough, at the end of the year, I looked at it and it was the miscellaneous expenses added up so quickly. At one point, Sandy, I'm embarrassed to say, while everyone's thinking about their number, but I was embarrassed to say, I showed my husband, I spent more on drinking wine and eating out than I did cumulatively with like every other expense. My husband's like, that is eating into your profits. But it was fun.
Sounds good to me. I don't know.
And I gained 30 pounds too, so that worked for a long period of time. So what are my miscellaneous expenses? Next. What continuing education do I want to invest in 2019? So I want you to sit here and think about, because it's the beginning of the year, right? Think about all the trade shows, the conferences, FAMs, seminars at seas, things that you're wanting to attend in 2019. Many of you guys probably have a national conference that you attend for your host agency or for your consortia. We highly recommend that you always budget for that. If that's the only thing you attend all year, you should do that. Some of the other great conferences are Travel Agent Forum, Cruise World, Cruise 360. There's some really good Romance Travel Forum, Family. Are there FAMs? Is there a destination that you've really been wanting to dive deep into in 2019? Now is the time to budget for that, to add that into your numbers so that you can make sure you're hitting your sales goals necessary for you to be profitable.
Jen, speaking of going to meetings and conventions, one of our agents wants to know if she should include clothing in those expenses to wear, to business functions.
Sure. That's a great question, whoever just asked it. If you get with your accountant, because utilizing your business bank account, anything that you write a check for out of that, you should be able to, it should sit in some category in your profit and loss. And so your accountant is the best one to tell you, yes, you can write that off. So if you're thinking about, and I see a lot of you smart travel advisor agency owners out there, you've got embroidered shirts, right? Like polo shirts that are embroidered that you can wear to conferences. By golly, you can write that off. Make sure you put that there. If you're speaking on stage, if you've been given the opportunity to speak on stage, I've got kind of an aggressive CPA in my life. He lets me write that stuff off. I write off my haircuts when I used to be a speaker, hair and makeup, stuff like that. But each accountant or CPA is a little differently. But yes, by all means, think about the things that you have to purchase to support your business or that allow you to support your business. I hope that answers your question. Seminars at Sea, FAM, so you've got that number written down. And then, am I anticipating other business-related purchases? So maybe you're like, okay, my Mac is about to die, or I need the latest iPad. I'm tired of working off of my phone, or I'm tired of lugging around that old Dell computer. I need a new computer. My printer, I really need a printer that's not a 3-in-1 fax machine, because who the heck faxes anymore, right? Maybe you want to do a car wrap. Maybe there's marketing collateral or trade show booth or donations. I know for me personally, I used to always keep 5% of my annual sales goals. I would try to find a place to donate that, because when you give, you get, of course, and it's just always good. When you have, you should share. So think about other business related purchases. Maybe you go to your consortia conference every year and they have a Make-A-Wish Foundation raffle. Factor that in. This will all lead to a final number, and then we'll go backwards from there. Any other questions yet, Sandy?
Nope, not yet.
All right, good. That means you guys are writing. I'm so proud of you. All right, here we go. The next one is grow my business through hiring, my help wish list. Do you have a desire to add a virtual assistant? Maybe somebody in person who can help you, or a part-time bookkeeper. Set a budget right now. You may surprise yourself at how inexpensive and how, to me, I think hiring humans is probably the strongest and easiest ROI you can have in your business. It is probably the best investment. If you can't invest in anything else, if you can't leave your house, if you can't do anything else in your business, I would highly suggest that you invest in hiring a human of some sort, contracting in your case, right? So you don't have an employee. I'd like to share a quick story if I can, Sandy. We've got plenty of time because I'm going through this kind of fast. But anyways, when I opened up my business, I remember I worked from my home, and my husband, I thought it was great from working from home because, you can just like roll out of bed, brush your teeth, get a cup of coffee, never change your jammy jams, and you can like get right into the office. What I found was my husband wasn't working at the time. He was kind of semi-retired at the time, and he bugged me all day. Like I couldn't get anything done. Even if I shut the door, put a note on my door. I bet many of you guys are like nodding your head and laughing. People seem to think because you work from home, all of a sudden you can, take out their trash for them. You can pick up their kids from school, so on and so forth. So anyways, I got really, really tired of that. And I wasn't making a lot of money, but I had this opportunity. There was this cute little downtown in Orlando called Lake Mary. And I bet you guys have a cute little town, a little area near you. And I was able to rent a room that was above a gift shop. And there was a real estate office nearby and a pizza place, which was great. And of course a bar. And that's where I got into trouble, I know. But I was able to rent a really cute little office space for $300 a month. And in the office space, it was a leftover space. They had 2 desks in there, and it included the 2 desks. And I remember saying to myself, all right, I'm going to invest. They didn't make me sign a long lease. I said, let me try this for 3 months. And so I budgeted the $900, and I signed it for 3 months. And sure enough, a few days later, this young lady came knocking on my door looking for a part-time job, any type of job. I paid her $10 an hour and she became my assistant. And so I had budgeted the $900 for the office, and I said, all right, I've got to make this up 3 or 4 times over so that I can also pay for this little assistant. When I tell you, and I'm not exaggerating, I doubled my business in 3 weeks because I had gotten myself an office and I was able to stay focused, as well as I hired myself some help. I just paid her $10 an hour and she started out working 15 hours a week. And I'm telling you, she became full-time, and I ended up with a staff of 4 people within a year and a half. And this is probably the place where I want you to put your biggest amount of your budget. Give yourself the fighting chance that you need to be able to grow your business. It's the best way to scale your business. Don't be afraid. Go in, find a place. I was interviewing a couple of our agents the other day and congratulating them because they had just hit this tier that we call here at TPI platinum. They became platinum status, platinum agents. And all 3 of them told me that they don't work out of their home, that they all 3 have been able to grow their business in the last year and a half because they don't work from home. One of them has a little office in a bank. Believe it or not, they had an extra office. I don't know if she knew the banker from her Chamber of Commerce, but she has an office in her bank. Another one is a cute little downtown where people kind of do a lot of like arts and crafts walking around, and she rents a little space from one of the arts and crafts offices there, a little building. It's like old homes converted to offices. And I was like, brilliant. These are people that are dreaming and scheming already because they're dreamers. They're out doing the arts and crafts. They're strolling. Why not stroll and you show them how to dream about the ultimate vacation. So anyways, all 3 of them had an office location. My other top agents, they struggle at first to give up any of that money for an assistant, but once they get that assistant, it's like, how did they ever survive without it? So I know I've gone a long time on this particular one, but I want you to ask yourself, do I have a help wish list? Make 2019 the year you do it so that you can focus 100% on making sales, which is what you do best. All right, now we're going to add this all up. For those of you who've actually been adding along the way, this will be easy. For those of you who are just listening to me, I'm going to give you a formula. You ready? Here we go. So number 1 was, what was your personal financial goal? Now this is just like, if you want to make $40,000 a year, I don't care what your goal is. If your goal is you only want to make $10,000 a year, that's cool too. If your goal is you want to make $150,000 a year, that's cool too. The thing to remember is that you've got to be honest with yourself. How much do you want to be able to stroke that check for at the end of the year to pay yourself? So here in this example, we're going to go off of $40,000 per year. The next one was, what was this person's set expenses? So we added it up and I looked at cable and all that good stuff. I put in $2,500. The next one was the miscellaneous expenses. Notice that those were more than the set expenses. Miscellaneous expenses are the ones that you can really run away with those. So be careful with those. Continuing education. Note, I put a lot of money in continuing education, depending on where you are in your business, right? So if you're brand spanking new, everything you're doing is a learning opportunity. You kind of have to spread out a little bit, touch a couple of different things to see what is the best thing for me. I always talk about having a lead dog. If you've been in the business for a while and you feel like you're kind of nailing it with cruises and now you're ready to learn more about maybe a specific destination, everyone's talking about the Galapagos right now with Celebrity coming out with what they have. And there's land tours for Galapagos. Well, not land because it's water, but, there's other ways to get to the Galapagos. Do you want to invest in going on one of those cruises so that you fully understand it and then you're going to market it to death? So I put a lot of money in continuing education. Next is just other purchases, $1,500. And then adding help. Now, I came up with this $7,500, and this is how easy this is, guys. Now, depending on the area of the world that you live in, we live here in Orlando, Florida, and we have a very strong market, and people are employed here, as they are for the most part around the country right now. So I just figured, you know what, if you found someone who you paid $15 an hour and asked them to work 10 hours a week, that would be 70, and they work 50 weeks out of the year, that would be $7,500. Or vice versa, you pay them 10 bucks an hour and they work 15 hours a week. Maybe it's a college student or an intern. But give yourself that opportunity to add that help. All right, if we added that all up, and I did use my calculator twice. I'm not known for my math skills here at TPI, so I used my calculator. It's $64,000. That's your sales goal, sort of. You ready? Now we're going to go backwards on this. First off, does anybody have any questions along the way?
I'm not seeing any questions yet, although one of our agents did point out that minimum wage currently is $30,000 a year, so perhaps our agents should plan to make at least that much.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Again, I've got 40, but you know, here's the thing to that person's point. I never want anyone to feel that if they don't make a certain amount of money, they're a loser. It's whatever you want to make, right? You know, it's what you want to make. You are a business owner. And one of the things that as a true business owner that you will recognize is that the more you reinvest in your business, the more you're going to be able to personally benefit from it, because your business will become more profitable. Now, I took this down to ground zero, right? So like there's no extra money here. If it's $64,000, and I'm going to show you my calculator backwards, you've paid yourself $40,000, you've paid all of your expenses, that's 64. If you want to pay yourself less and put more money into your continuing education, that's great. If you want to pay yourself less and leave a buffer in your bank account, that's great. But I'm kind of using the Dave Ramsey approach, which is, I always forget what he calls it. It's like budget to zero, where you budget every single dime you make, savings and all that good stuff. All right, but this is not a financial class. That's not what I'm known for. I'm hoping you guys find this pretty easy. Tell me if you found this to be confusing or easy. To me, this seems super simple right now, but you let me know. All right, so now the next thing you have to do, and again, if you're part of a host agency or a consortia, or if you've been keeping up with your commissions through your own QuickBooks, your own accounting, Excel spreadsheet, I'm giving an example of somebody here at the top. So let's say you said, hey, Jen, my total commissions in 2018 were just $25,000. Okay, many of you would walk around and say, I made $25,000 last year, or my business made $25,000. Well, if we went backwards, you'd see once you minus out all your expenses, you didn't make $25,000. You sold, you had commissions in the number of 25,000. And then you said, all right, Jen, I made 25,000, and I'd say to you, all right, girlfriend, how many transactions, how many bookings was that? And if you can figure out 50, your average per transaction is $500. So for all of y'all who have some sort of system, go back and say, what were my commissions? You probably just got your 1099 from your host agency or your consortia. Go back and find out how many transactions it took to get to that number. That's your average per transaction. Now, of course, some are going to be way bigger than others. You might have had a really big group and that's really skewed your numbers. That's fine. But in general, you kind of want to find out, what's my average per transaction today? What am I booking today? And what's my average per transaction? So let's go back to our Sally's goal that we just talked about of $64,000. How are we going to get there? Well, if you do a simple math, if you maintain your average per transaction, you're going to have to increase your transactions to 128. So if your average per transaction is $500, you're going to have to sell almost 3 times the number of transactions to hit that $64,000 goal. Now, there's a way to do that, right? So if you said, well, heck, it wasn't that hard to do the 50, I could totally do 150. Maybe if I scaled my business a bit, I could increase my number of transactions, keep my average per transaction the same, and meet my goal. Or do I want to do the flip, right? Do I want to have the same number of transactions, but let me tell you, I need to get that number up from 500 to 750. So you've got to kind of do your own little question and answer session, your own little board of directors meeting with yourself. How do you want to get there? You know how they always talk about commission with a comma? Those are selling suites, balconies. You know, you could stay within the same brand if you're into cruises, right? But instead of just selling Carnival inside cabins, you're selling Carnival suites and owner suites. You know, instead of doing contemporary cruise lines. You know, maybe you're like, you know what, I've kind of got a higher end clientele. Let me jump in there and let me see what the luxury lines look like. How can I increase my business? But I'm going to give you some ways to scale your business to make this happen. All right. If I've lost anyone, you just go type in your questions into Miss Sandy and she'll let me know. So that's what I said. Number one is, how much sales do you need to make? That was one of the key components to a profitable business. Number two is how to smartly scale your business. So first thing that a lot of our agents do is they add associate agents. And in your world, they might call them sub-agents or affiliate agents if you are with a host agency. Or if you are with a consortia, you're just adding agents who are selling underneath your name or working with you. That is a really quick way to scale your business. And the way that works is you might have a 90% commission plan with your host agency. You bring on an associate agent and you're going to only pay them 60% of your 90% commission that you receive for everything they sell, because you're training them and you're mentoring them and you're the one that's responsible. You're the agency owner. You're the business owner. So adding associate agents to me is a great way to scale your business. Y'all, if you've got questions about that, or if you've got concerns, or answer this question for me in the comments. Tell me how many of you have thought about adding associate agents but haven't for some reason. Give me that reason, and Sandy, go back to that. Those that are thinking about adding associate agents, why haven't you? Tell me what's stopping you. Let me see if I can help you overcome some of your own personal objections in this webinar. So that's one way. Another way is to leverage your onboard sales. I am blown away by the number of agents that I talk to that they don't call their clients ahead of time getting onto a cruise ship where, you know how Royal Caribbean has the next cruise desks? I mean, every cruise line has that, where when they go on board, you know they're going to be excited. You've done a great job. They're going to be wowed by it. The best time to make a sale is when somebody is excited in the middle of it. That's why we have those next cruise specialist desks and so on and so forth, because they know the best time to plan a next vacation is while you're still on vacation. You need to leverage that. If I were a travel advisor, I would be sending text messages. I would tell them exactly where that desk is. I would send them a card, one of my cards ahead of time to say, hey, here's my travel advisor. As we're booking this, please make sure they know about it. I mean, I would leverage that all day long. I'd be sending them Facebook messages. Looks like you're having a great time on the cruise. Make sure you check out the next cruise specialist. I understand you can save $500. Don't worry, I'll be managing the booking for you after the fact. Leverage, 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 leverage. If all you did was have your assistant do that, you could probably increase your business by 30%. Leverage onboard sales. Sandy, do we have any people that have typed in, yes, I've been thinking about it, but I haven't done it for a reason?
Yes, we have several, and the most popular reason is that they say they don't have time to train them.
Yeah.
What else have we got? We have liability. If they make a mistake, it's on me. Finances, and a couple of people said that they have agents working for them who are not doing well, and they need to find a way to motivate them to do better.
Okay, good. All right. Well, again, I don't know if you guys who are putting in those things have are partnered with a host agency. I know a lot of the larger host agencies out there have programs that are designed for you to be able to add that associate agent. First thing I would do for those that are having a tough time training them is I would come up with a game plan, a worksheet. We have this here at TPI where if you want to add an associate agent, we kind of give you like a little map, right? We just say, here are the questions to ask. Here are the things you need to have them do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Make sure that they're taking some sort of industry training. Make them invest in the Travel Institute training. That's a great training to get the basics down. And then from there, make them choose. Are they going to sell cruises? Great. You know, all the major brands have amazing, amazing training on how to book their cruise, how to sell the cruise lines. So get that part out of the way, number one. Then number two, partner with your host agency to see what other training opportunities they have to help. So many of even our agents don't even know that we have the support there for their associate agents as well. Liability, and that is a big one, and it is a true statement, so be careful about who you add. As an agency owner and you want to scale your business, I probably would look at what's a good complement to what I'm already selling. So as an example, let's say you do a great job with cruises, but you really want someone who is a Disney expert. Well, go be looking for people who love Disney. Maybe you have friends that are going to Disney all the time. Ask them, how would you like to turn this into something where you can actually make money and help other families enjoy Disney? So be really specific and proactive about who you want to add and make them have a niche, and that will help you because they're going to get really, really into it, and the liability will lower as they are more trained on that. And then, yeah, I mean, time. I'm telling you, time takes it does. It takes some time. All right, so I hope I helped a little bit with the associate agents question. I will tell you this, start with one. Just start with one and see how it goes. Start with a good one, and those who can't motivate those that are there, get rid of them. Just tell them, you know what, I don't have no kind of time for you. I'm so sorry. Get rid of them and open yourself up to somebody new. Sometimes it takes, you got to go through 4 or 5, what do you call it, frogs before you get to a prince? You got to kiss a lot of frogs. Okay, easy peasy add-ons is another way to scale your business. These are things like selling insurance every single time. These are things like making sure that you tell them, you arrange for a transfer for them every single time. And I don't mean just from the parking garage to the port or from their hotel to the port, but everything. So many agents, and again, depending on the consortia or host agency that you're with, there are easy, what do you call it, book and click, is that, oh my God, I totally lost my train of thought. Point and click, there you go. Point and click booking engines for you to book air. Even if you don't make any money on it, you've got an opportunity to book the air, get them transferred from their house, have them, you know, order them in an Uber or a carry or something from the house all the way and control that. Again, the add-ons are really easy peasy. Things like Shore Trips, some of the other excursion companies, maybe they don't see anything that the cruise line has to offer. Go ahead and book the other excursions for them. Get with your suppliers, find out about everything that you can sell them. Those are the easy peasy add-ons. I can take a $500 average to a $700 average pretty easy. Group sales. I won't go into a lot with this, but with group sales, I would definitely choose one group, choose one affinity group. Just use that as the one thing that you're marketing. A lot of people chose Cuba as an example. They said, I'm doing a group of 24 people to go to Cuba. Who wants to join us? I got 24 people going on a Trafalgar tour to Italy. Who wants to join me? One big group can make your year. And then just focus, 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 focus. Whatever you do to scale your business, make sure you've got a solid game plan and you're sticking to it throughout the year. Try not to, you know, wiggle around too terribly much. And then invest in technology that works with you. There are so many different CRMs that are out there right now. I would definitely invest in technology that will help you keep up with those final payments, that will help you understand the who your client is, the segmentation, email marketing where you can segment those databases all the way down to not just people who cruise, but people who cruise royal, people who haven't cruised, people who've only gone 3-night cruises. I want to get them on 7 nights. You know, any way that you can invest in technology that will work with you to take the information that you have in your head and put it into a technology program that you can do something with. And then, of course, I'm big on hiring humans. I'm all about hiring a human out there. That is your greatest ROI. So those are the ways that I see that you can scale your business smartly and start increasing that average dollar per transaction. Do we have any other questions there?
Yeah, Jen, what are your feelings about service fees?
Yeah, I'm all about a service fee. Listen, I'm all about people understanding that you are a business owner, that you are not a travel agent. If you've listened to any of my webinars or read any content that I've written or seen me on stage, I cannot stand it when I hear people say I'm a travel agent. And travel advisor is definitely better. I'm glad Asta came up with that. But when somebody says, what do you do? I want you to answer, I'm a travel agency. I own a travel agency. When you do that, you set yourself up into a higher level right away. And so when you talk about service fees, it's not about a service fee that, you know, Sandy is charging. It's Sandy's Travel is charging a service fee. Give people options. There are plenty of people who want to book their own stuff, but they don't want to do the research. So charge that service fee. A lot of people call it a plan to go fee, and they refund it if they book with it. I'm all about that. Whatever it takes to help reemphasize that you're a business owner, number one. Number two, allows you to maintain control over that sale, and by you setting the rules, not them setting the rules. And of course, it can add to your bottom line as well. There's a lot of trainings out there about service fees. I'm a big believer.
Great, thanks.
All right. Whew, I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking. Oh, that's because I am. We're on a webinar, people. Okay, next. So that was the second thing, smartly scale your business. So the third is to know your numbers. And I saw this quote and I loved it. The truth doesn't change if you ignore it. In other words, the best way for you to make your goals is to keep them in front of you and to track them on a weekly basis. Where am I this week? Look at those financials every single week. Make that a priority for yourself so that you can stay on top of things so nothing kind of runs away from you. We have one of our agents, Amy Rosenfeld. She had a very specific goal in mind, a sales goal, and she had her own little profitability sheet, and she had it in an email that she would keep flagged in her email. And every single, when she was sitting on the bus, when she was on the plane, wherever she was, she would look at that and then ask herself, how close am I to it? She would look at her P&L statements all the time to make sure that she was making the best use of her time, that she was getting that average sale per transaction number was there, and that she was keeping her cost under control. So just because you don't look at it, because you're too scared, oh my God, I spent too much money this month, I think I did. Just because you don't look at it doesn't mean it's not the truth. So the truth doesn't change if you ignore it. Pay attention to your numbers. So those are my three things. I do have a couple of closing comments that I want to make prior to Sandy asking the question. But do we have any questions out there right now? Anything that you want to ask about scaling your business, growing your business, some fears that you might have? And then I've got another thing I want to share, and then I know Sandy's going to ask those questions. I'm going to give people a chance to type those in.
Okay, in the meantime, one of our agents wants to know, isn't there a formula that you have to show the IRS that you're profitable in X number of years for them to consider you a real business?
That's a great question for your accountant or your CPA. I remember when I owned my business for 8 years, I used to think that as well. And I guess I was profitable, so I didn't have to worry about it too much. But I would get with your accountant on that. I think that's kind of like based on some old information, but I'm not an accountant. You do need to be profitable. What is profitable, though? Is $1 profitable? Yep. So I would say be profitable. Don't worry about what the IRS requires. I want you to have money. And go play with those numbers. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I hope so. I think it does. One of our agents and good friends said that she struggles with where to find more business. Is there some kind of a thumbnail sketch you can give our agents about how to do that?
When we ask our agents all the time, how are they growing their business? The number one answer, without a doubt, is word of mouth. Now, word of mouth can come in a variety of different ways. Word of mouth can come because Sally you booked Sally's vacation and Sally told her neighbor Brian and Brian gave you a call. Word of mouth could be you booked Sally's vacation and Sally is on Facebook posting her pictures. You make a comment, I'm so glad it worked out for you. Let me know how the Italian restaurant is when you go there tonight. And all of a sudden, Brian sees you on Facebook and he's like, are you Sally's travel agent? And now that's word of mouth. I do have a rule of thumb, and again, this is kind of any industry, is you really only need 12 people who really know what you do, love what you do, and have big mouths themselves. They don't necessarily have to do business with you, but they know and understand exactly what you do. And they're just the type of people that the second they hear somebody use the word vacation or trip or cruise, you are the name that pops in their head, and they are not embarrassed about connecting you. If you can get 12 people to do that, you will have a thriving, and I mean a thriving business. That's all you really need. The word of mouth part really comes from you opening your mouth and spreading the word that you are a travel agency owner and that you focus on X, Y, and Z, or that you're passionate about family travel, whatever that is, but that you are an agency owner. You are an owner of a travel agency. And that's you opening your mouth to spread the word.
Fantastic advice.
Okay. Yeah.
We have a question about the plan to go fee. It relates specifically to Florida, but perhaps it's the same for other states that have seller of travel licenses also. Our agent says it's her understanding that the law under the Florida seller of travel, you can't accept money if you are an independent agent selling under a host travel number.
That is correct. You need to put your plan to go fees. Well, if you're going to turn around and refund it, then that's different. But any fees you cannot accept, any money you cannot accept directly from your clients. You do need to put that through your host or whoever owns that Florida seller of travel.
Okay. And we
don't. I'm sorry, Sammy. Let me finish that. I don't think I finished my thought. Okay. So, depending on who you're with, call your host agency or your consortia and just make sure, because you're creating that invoice within their accounting system. They're what we call accounting tools here at TPI, and you can add those fees right into the invoice.
Okay, fabulous. One of our agents says, should I create a personal goal or a travel agency goal for 2019? She said she has 6 independent agents.
Congratulations, agency owner, rock star. I love it. So I would say go back to that formula, and the very first question you want to answer is how much do you want to pay yourself personally? So that's your personal goal. All right. So how much do you financially, from an income standpoint, do you want to pay yourself? And then go from there. For you, you would add another line item when it comes up the total number of commissions. So let's just say you want to sell $500,000. You want to pay yourself $75,000 this year or $100,000 this year. How much commission are you going to have to receive minus all those expenses are you going to have to receive? And then out of that, you need to look at those 6 associate agents that you have. Out of that commission, let's say 60% of your $500,000 in commissions, or I'm sorry, $500,000 in sales. I'm losing track of my numbers here. Out of all those commissions, how much of it am I going to have to pay? That's almost an expense now, right? So how much am I going to pay to the agent? Or you can turn it around and make it a revenue. How much of that amount is my revenue, right? So if you're keeping 60% of their commission, or you're keeping 40% of their commission, what's that 60%? How much is it? It's just like another line item. It's like another bucket of sales that you're making. And I would sit down with your associate agents and ask them to do the same thing. How much do they want to make, so that you know what their sales goals need to be, what their sales numbers need to be for them to be able to do that.
Okay, fantastic. We have time for one last short question, and that is, how do you feel about gifting clients who refer you to their friends and family?
If that's part of your brand, do it. If that's who you are, I wouldn't do it me personally, I would not have a referral program. I think it's more exciting when somebody says thank you for no apparent reason than it is that, oh, I did something for you and now I got the thank you. Well, I did it because I want a $125 credit, unless you position it correctly. Yeah, by all means, I would gift people.
Okay.
I gift people all the time, and I don't do any business with them. I buy them lunch at Chick-fil-A all the time.
I'll have to go to Florida then.
By all means. All right. So
okay. So let me just go over some of the, we're going to do our prize giveaways now, if Jen, you're up for that.
Yeah, and then I'll talk about the last one, yes.
Okay. You want to do that first, or you want to do the prizes first?
No, do the prizes. That's fine.
Okay, so here's how it's going to work. Jenn is going to ask 2 questions, one at a time, about something that she discussed during this wonderful webinar, and I will take the 5th correct answer I see come across my screen. I'll give your information to Jenn, and she'll get in touch with you after the webinar to let you know how to redeem your prize. So, Jenn, do you want to talk about what the first prize is?
The first prize is a 1-hour consultation with me to talk about whatever you want.
And this can be done via Skype or phone call or FaceTime or whatever is most convenient.
Correct.
Okay, and so that's the prize. And Jenn, go ahead and ask the question now.
So travel agency owners best benefit when they focus on building a what instead of a what. Travel agency owners best benefit when they focus on building a what versus a what.
Okay, so don't forget that we're looking for 2 answers here. And again, I'll take the 5th correct answer that I see. Oh, the answers are flying in fast and furiously. Everyone's been paying attention, Jenn. So let's see who has the 5th. Okay, we have a winner. I'm just going to write down the name.
Congrats.
And you'll see why it took me a little while to write it down. The winner is Maria Stephanopoulos. So congratulations, Maria. You have won a 1-hour marketing consultation with Jenn Lee, and I know you're going to get a lot out of it. So congratulations to Maria. And Jenn, you want to discuss what the second prize is?
Yeah, the second question was, there are 3
Oh,
components
you want to describe what the prize is?
So TPI is hitting the road. We're doing some regional conferences, and whether you're a TPI agent or not, we'd love to see you. So we have 5 regional conferences, 1-day events that we're doing where we're really going to kind of dive deep into this and then some. Las Vegas, Houston, Chicago, New Jersey, and Atlanta. And the winner for this will get a free entry into that. We'll get to come and spend the day with us.
Okay, and the name of that conference is Rock Your Travel Biz. So that's going to be a really exciting conference. If you're in striking distance of any of those cities and know how much you can benefit from that 1-day conference, then you want to go ahead and ask the question, Jenn?
I do. So profitability happens when these 3 things come together. First one is understand how much you need to sell. Secondly is smartly scaling your business. Tell me what number 3 is.
Okay, and again, I'll take the 5th correct answer. And we have a winner already.
All right.
And let me just write down the name so we can get in touch with you later.
Are we that predictable, Sandy, that can figure out the questions ahead?
Oh, everyone's been listening because this has been so helpful. And our winner of the 1-day admission to Rock Your Biz is John Stunda. John Stunda.
Hey, John.
Congratulations. And Jenn or someone on her team will be getting in touch with both of our winners, Maria and John, to let you know how to redeem your prize. So congratulations. Okay, Jenn, you ready for your closing remarks?
Yeah, my closing remarks are, I'll send that PDF to you guys of how you can kind of figure out your own profitability. Don't be scared of it. Just go for it, right? And then the last thing, if you enjoyed this, or if you've enjoyed any of the ones that I've done this past, all in 2018, I'm going to tell you one thing, and then I'm going to ask you something. First thing is, I want you to remind yourself, I want you to remember you are more than a booking engine. You make an impact in this world. You make a big impact in this world with what you do. Do not let any consumer or client or prospect or anybody tell you any differently or deflate exactly what it is that you do. you are curating amazing experiences for families. I always say, you didn't just book that honeymoon vacation, you actually kickstarted the first 10 years of a 50-year marriage. That's what you do. You make a really big impact. And we as an industry make a big impact. I've been in the industry now 3 years. We have to update my bio, Sandy. I've been in the business now 3 years, and the impact that I see that as an industry that we make, not only on human beings, but also in the world in general, really warms our hearts. So if you've enjoyed what I've shared or what I've shared in the past, I'm going to invite you to be part of a campaign that we launched at Cruise World last year, which is our Be the Curator campaign, for you to really see that you're curating more than just a vacation. You're curating happiness across the world. And we have a goal of raising $50,000 for Tourism Cares this year, between now and the end of, between now and Cruise World. We're well on our way. So if you find it in your heart, if it's something that you're like, yeah, Jen, we totally support Tourism Cares, go to our website and click on About Us, and then click on the Be the Curator. And what I'm going to do is, at the end of this month, I'm just going to randomly select anybody who's donated, who's listened to this webinar or not, because I know many people will be listening later on. I'm going to randomly select anyone who's donated from today to the end of January and give you a 1 hour marketing consultation as well. It's something it's a passion project for us here at TPI. We believe in what Tourism Cares does, and it really supports what we really believe to be true here at TPI, is that you are not a Google, you are not a booking engine, you are curating amazing experiences for human beings all over the world. So thank you for letting me share that information, Sandy.
Sure. Well, thank you for talking about that worthy cause. And Jen, do you have a slide with your email address so people can email you if they want the profitability workshop? There we go.
Here it is.
With Jen's
2019. Glass of wine in hand. You usually can.
Well, cheers, and we see your beautiful face, and that should be enough for everyone to want to contribute to your worthy cause. Our fantastic webinar today has been hosted by Travel Planners International, and our wonderful speaker has been Jenn Lee, Vice President of Sales and Marketing for TPI. Jen, as always, this has been a real pleasure for me and very, very, very helpful to everyone. So thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Go make beautiful things happen out there.
And I'll add my thanks to everyone on this call. We appreciate your taking time out of your day to be here with us, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.